Hello guys, Vino here and welcome to this Vino Plunk production. If you're wondering about the angle and maybe even the sound, I'm recording this on my iPad just to see how this goes. I'm going to try and keep the iPad as still as possible, but I apologise if I wobble it because I am holding it right now because I don't have an easy stand. So this video is me going to be talking about my thoughts on the 2018 movie starring and directed and produced by, I think even written by, Clint Eastwood, The Mule. So when the trailers for The Mule came out, probably in 2017 or 2018, I'm not sure when the film was actually released, but when the trailers came out and it was touted as Clint Eastwood's final film, I was very intrigued by it. I was very intrigued by the trailers, the premise, and thought, yeah, I'll check that out one day. Well, it's now been 3 years since then, and I finally checked it out. It's on Prime Video here in the UK, Amazon Prime Video, and it's going out of the service by the 1st of August in 22 hours' time from when I'm recording this video. So I thought I'd use this weekend to watch it and go from there, essentially. I needed time to relax and de-stress from this week because this week's been a little stressful. I was going for a team leader position and, was getting a bit stressed out and nervous from that. So I just needed to de-stress and just relax. And this was the perfect film for that. So the premise of The Mule is that Clint Eastwood plays a character called Earl Stone, who is a horticulturalist, a gardener, if you will. And in 2005 wins an award, I'm not sure what kind of award, but he wins a medal for being a good horticulturalist. It's funny because as he walks through the lobby of the hotel or wherever this is being held, there's a person touting that, internet stuff, and he's like, oh, the internet will never take off. Well, we then flash to 17 years later, and unfortunately, the internet, as we all know, has taken off, and he's had to close down his business, his centre, his farm, his flower farm, essentially, and he's had to close it down. It's been taken away by the bank, foreclosure, and it even looks at his van at one point and kind of like, then it's closing down. We also kind of find out through bits and bobs that he's estranged from his family. He takes his horticultural pursuits very seriously, probably too seriously, and as a result, he takes time away from family. And it's caused some friction between him and his daughter, him and his ex-wife, and he's trying to find a way back in. So he attends his granddaughter's wedding, and he's kind of kicked out of the wedding. They kind of don't want him around. He gets into an argument with his daughter, and he kind of gets kicked out of the wedding, so to speak. He does later show up at the reception, but I'm moving ahead of myself a little bit here. He's then caught up with by one of the guests at the wedding, who says, "If you need some money, man, I know how you can make some money." And basically, he becomes a mule for the drug cartel. And that's the premise of the movie, and that's pretty much the movie in a nutshell. We follow Clint Eastwood's character, Earl Stone, as he goes about doing jobs for the cartel and what happens. Now, looking at the trailers, it seems as if the film is going to be one of those, will he get caught films, much like The Rope, Alfred Hitchcock's The Rope, in which you've got a dead body in a trunk in the middle of the room, and you're waiting, with biting your nails on the edge of your seat, waiting to see whether they're going to discover the body in the trunk. It wasn't that kind of film. However, the film is very easy to follow. Not a bad thing in any way, shape or form, but really well acted, really well written. The film was brilliant, to be honest. It's whenever a film can capture my attention and I don't clock watch or barely clock watch, then it's a good film. I'm not going to take anything away from the film. The film is very simple, very easy to follow, but that's not a bad thing in any way, shape or form. I think with Clint Eastwood's films, both the ones he stars in and ends up being behind the camera in, as well are very simple, and that's, to be honest, a good thing, especially these days when there are so many complicated, convoluted films that try and be this and try and be that. Sometimes you're having a straightforward film that's easy to follow, that has superb acting. Um, those kinds of films are good to have as well. Bradley Cooper is superb in this film. I get a real kick out of humans playing just humans, if that makes sense. There's so many superhero and over the top films nowadays. Just to see humans play humans is exceptional. There are some messages that this film is trying to tell, and they're not overbearing. They don't hit you over the head. They're just telling you subtly about family, about spending time with people, being there with people in need, that you don't need to necessarily get rich, that money is not everything. And the ending of the film is superb. I'm not going to spoil the ending of the film, but it caps off this film extremely well. Lawrence Fishburne is in it as well. Brilliant. Not in it that much, but for what he's in it with, brilliant. One of Clint Eastwood's daughters are in the film, plays Iris. I've forgotten the actress's name off the top of my head. I do apologise. I think it's Frances Eastwood, if I remember correctly. She's in it as well. Again, plays a superb character, and to play someone who's estranged and angry at her father being Earl Stone, and that also to be her father in real life, Clint Eastwood. Again, superb acting to pull all of that off. The thing I really like about Earl Stone, Clint Eastwood's character, is that throughout the film he's underestimated quite a bit. There's some comments about him being, obviously because he's 90 years old in the film, people will sort of make comments that it's past his bedtime and that he shouldn't butt into places, but he's far smarter than he lets on. He's served in the Korean War. He's been a soldier. He's not, scared or intimidated by any of these drug cartel people. He's been there, done that. He doesn't really care. He's just doing a job and getting on with it. Halfway through the film, because there's a police case that builds up sort of in the background, Bradley Cooper plays Agent Bates, who's trying to obviously pin down the cartel and go after Earl Stone, essentially. Earl Stone. And about halfway through the film is when they start making busts, because Lawrence Fishburne plays Bates's boss, or Bradley Cooper's boss, and there's a certain point in the film where Lawrence Fishburne's boss wants busts, basically. So Bradley Cooper has to go out and make those busts, and that's when the film shifts a little bit, because at that moment in time, Earl Stone is having it very easy. He's having a very good time, easy time being a drug cartel, and then things change, things shift, and it becomes a lot more serious, a lot more intense about what's going to happen with Earl, what's going to happen with his family, and things of that nature. It's a really well acted, superb, simple and easy to follow film, just really, really good. I highly recommend it, and that's something that the reviews on Amazon have actually said. If you've seen a drug film, if you've seen any of those films, still give this one a watch, because it's simpler in nature, it's more grounded in nature, and for the fact that it's so simple, it needs good characters, it needs good acting, and it has all of that. It kept me hooked the entire time. And just the character of Earl Stone, he's funny, he's witty, he's not intimidated. He's definitely seen some stuff in his life. He's a very flawed individual and doesn't shirk away from that. It's a phenomenal film. I'm actually I think it's the first Clint Eastwood directed film I've actually watched. I've watched Fistful of Dollars, For a Few Dollars More, and Dirty Harry, and this is the first Clint Eastwood directed film I think I've watched. Again, I loved Dirty Harry for its simplicity, and I love this film for its simplicity. And if it comes back into streaming again at some point, or if I see it, out in the wild, I want to pick it up, I probably will pick it up on either Blu-ray or DVD at some point, because it is a phenomenal film and it's a good watch. There are it's in some aspects it may be a bit too simple, in that, you know, a lot of the tricks that they pull in the film have you seen there, done that before. There are parts where you're like, oh, will Earlstone get caught? There's some tricks that get pulled, cinematic tricks that get pulled, that have been pulled many times before. Not to say that they don't work in the Mule. And again, just the way that Clint Eastwood's character sort of wiggles his way out of certain confrontations and situations is just exemplary in a lot of ways. Yeah, and the acting is really good. I haven't seen enough of Clint Eastwood, to be honest, to tell you where this sits in the pantheon of his acting. Obviously, he's an award-winning actor, so there's no dispute about his acting talent and his acting prowess. I just haven't seen him enough to really discern where this sits in the grand scheme of his acting career. So I'm really looking forward to getting into more Clint Eastwood films and going from there, to be completely honest. But hopefully you enjoyed this little thoughts and opinions on The Mule, the 2018 film starring, produced and directed, and I think even written by Clint Eastwood. It was a really good watch and sucked me in for the hour and 50 odd minutes that it ran for. Until next time, guys, please take care, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day. Ta-ra.